After 1 o'clock, she's here. She's live. She's in studio. Well, finally. We speak about her journey. We speak about how she got to where she is. We speak about her plans. We speak about where she's going. Her name is Itumeleng Innocentia Khoshikgadi Banda. I think born and bred in Alex. She'll confirm that. Went to Rivonia Primary School, Windwood High School as well. Joined Alex FM, I think at the age of 19, if I'm not mistaken. And a show that she was part of, very strong, very powerful. A message that she was also driving from a personal experience, a personal life. I think she'll also speak about that as well. I think it's quite important so that we can understand and know where she's from. But she's here, Itumeleng Banda. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Good afternoon, and how are you?
Where did you get that information, first of all?
I'm a journalist.
Yeah, it shows. It shows. I'm just like, because normally people are just like, I'm just like, what? No, that's not me. But that is definitely me. How are you doing?
I'm brilliant. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Your journey. I think we have to start from the infant stages. Who is Itumeleng Banda? Where were you born? The type of household that you grew up in. Your parents, siblings. Let's start from there.
So Itumeleng Banda grew up being known as Tumi. I was born in Rivonia, actually.
Yep.
And then after that, we moved to Alex. Moved to Alex simply because my mom was a domestic worker, and her employers then moved to Australia, and we needed a home, so we moved to Alex. So I grew up in Alex, essentially. So you could say I was born and bred in Alex, but I wasn't actually born in Alex.
Yep.
I moved to Alex, and that has essentially become my home. I come from a family of 5. There's 5 of us. So it's me, my mom, my dad, my sister. And I say 5 because I count my nieces. So
Yep.
it's actually 6 now because there's another one. So I count my nieces. So there's 6 of us. A very close family, a very small family. We literally are each other's backbones. Everything that we've been through in life, we go through it together. And yeah, South African broadcaster who just does what she loves on the daily. Believe it or not, I'm figuring it out.
But I think more than most, they'll say you've already figured it out with what you've achieved. But yeah, in regards to the type of human being that you are growing up, what type of a kid was Itumeleng? Growing up in Rivonia or, in Alexandra, call it what you will.
Well, Itumeleng was a very outspoken child. Loved the spotlight. I wanted to be one of those TV kids growing up. I think every child wanted to do that. But I literally would, whenever we go out, act as if I had my own reality show. I would be just that little child who speaks a lot. And how it's influenced or how it's made me the type that I am, like where I grew up, I think I lived 2 different lives, because you go to school and you're in the suburbs and you interacting with Model C kids. You come back home, and they don't understand the type of language. They don't understand the things that you relate to with other kids.
Yep.
So I kind of like had to get the balance. So I got the best of both worlds. Then I didn't understand what it was. I mean, as a kid, it's easy to form and like filter in, especially because when we moved to Alex, I thought we were just there for a visit. I thought we were going to go back to Rivonia. I just thought that we were there for a short stint, but it actually wasn't that. So my life has really... It depends on how you experience me, because you can literally... The setup that you experience me within is normally influenced by my background. So if you meet me in the suburbs, you'll think I'm a suburb girl.
Yep.
Because I've grew up in that life as well. You meet me kokasi, others be like, no, she not really. But others would be like, oh no, you wanna kokasi, for real. So I think I'm a chameleon in a sense.
You're speaking about something that's very interesting in regards to finding a balance from the suburb and Kokasi as well. How important or how difficult, let me say, how difficult was it for you to try and get a proper balance? Because, Kokasi, a bit of a snob, is she not? And then, in the suburb, maybe she's not part of us,
Yeah.
So how easy or difficult was it, finding a balance between them two?
It was really hard, and I think I see it now, the older that I get. It was kind of hard to find who I am. Because you're not black enough to be with the white kids, right?
Yep.
Or you're not black enough to be with the black kids. Or it was quite hard. But like the older that you get and you accept and you understand who you are, I think it makes it more easier. But I think then I would just go with the flow, If I'm with the white kids, we're talking about, oh no, if I'm there, we're talking about that. I am that kid as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, finding the balance was a bit hard. But the older that I get, I think think finding the balance is neutralized by acceptance.
And I mean, Alex, I was actually born in Alex as well, a township that has really, brought in or brought up a lot of, stars in regards to football. I think we know a lot of, football stars. You should know them much better than I do.
I saw Manyama the other day.
Yeah, actually had an interview with him a couple of weeks ago. Lebu, fantastic guy. For you, growing up in Alex, how has that, grown your personality or, help you to shape you in regards to the person that you are? Because a lot of kids or, people or stars from Alex, their personality is quite different. They're strong, there's a lot of, persistence in regards to what they want to do and achieve. So for you growing up in Alex, what type of part did it play into your upbringing as a human being as well?
I wanted out. But me wanting out was wanting out so that I can come back and get others out, or possibly not, because our parents are there. So it's a place where I want to come back and probably fix it and make it a better place. So it's given me that driving force to literally go get what's mine or what I believe is mine. It's given me a
yeah.
So like I do understand that if I'm going to just chill there, being exposed to the people, there's so much unemployment in the townships. Like you walk around 10 a.m. and it's like it's the weekend. You're like, what's happening here? And these are just unemployed people. So I understand that if I sit and I don't do anything, that could possibly be my reality. So I have to get up and just keep going.
And in relation to the career that you some say the career picked me or you picked the career. I don't know which one is yours. At what age did you realize that you speak about Yo TV, you wanted to be that kid, but at what age did you actually realize that this is actually what I really, really want to do, being in front of camera on radio as well?
I think TV has always been my first love, even though radio found me first. But it was around, I think, 7. So that's like grade 1 or preschool prior to that. And I remember when I was in like grade 1 or 2, there was a lady, Austora, and she had a connection with Yo TV, and they'd always want extra kids to be in the audience and all. And she'd come to my house, ask my mom, and we'd go. And there was a show that they did, specifically it was a December show called Summer Splash. And they wanted a voluntary presenter, and I put up my hand, and they gave me the links. They said, this is what you're going to do, and I did it. And they were so impressed. And after that, Austora, then they spoke to Austora, and they wanted to actually have me part of the team. When we got back home, my mom was like, no, so I at that point didn't understand, but now the older that I get, I understand that everything was stripped away from my mom, and all she had was the gift or the ability to give me an education. So her main focus at that point was, this child's got to get through school, this child's got to get through varsity, everything else will come after that. So that's why she said no to so many opportunities that have come my way during my schooling years. So yeah, I don't think TV's always been my first love. Radio found me. Sports, I think that was alignment with what God had intended for me. I literally thought that I was going to be the next thing in like pop culture, like top billing, live amp. That was my vibe. How I got into sports was I went for a voiceover audition at Massiv Metro. I thought it was a voiceover audition. It wasn't. And Mutsidisi Mohon at the time, I didn't even know who she was. She was looking for people to amp up her squad, her sports squad. Mind you, I don't come from a sporting background. I don't come from a sporting family. I couldn't care less. I got there. They gave me a script. It was a sports script. I read it. And I was just like, I just hope I get this job. Because I thought it was a voiceover job. And I left. And then I got a call back. When I got a call back, I was like, oh, yes, we got it. And it was Mutsidisi. And she was like, I want you part of my team. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, yeah, with sport. I was like, I don't understand. I don't even know how many people are on a soccer team. I don't even know what an offside is. And I kid you not, she said, I'll teach you.
Wow. I think we are skipping the stages. We'll come to that. I think I just want us, to go through your life because, a lot of people, they look up to you, your career as well. As I said, when I posted on Twitter as well, a lot of messages that I got. So we'll get to that. Here you are, on some of the days you go to Yo TV. Did you understand that you are on television? Did
yes.
that? And how do you deal with that? Because that's something massive, and particularly at that age, you know how difficult it is to get into television. You get an opportunity at 7 years old. How do you take that?
You get everyone in the family to watch. You are the shining star in the family. Everyone you meet, you let them know. Yo, Nikilko, you TV, even if the camera just panned past you. Like, that's me over there. I understood exactly what it was. didn't know now that I'm actually really getting into it, what it actually comes with. That's what I didn't know. But at that time, I just, when you're young, you just want to be famous. I mean, that's what I wanted.
And your schooling years now, when you started your, I think we'll just, mix between your, probably grade 6, 7 and your high school years. Was it a case of, I need to finish my education first so that I can pursue my career, or education is important first? Which one took precedence in regards to your career first or education first?
Because of my mother, education had to be prioritized. Remember, she turned down deals.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a leg to stand on. Education had to come first. I remember even after like high school, I wanted to take a gap year because I wanted just to understand what I'm doing. She was like, there's no way. You're going to school while I can still pay your fees. So I was forcefully, well, I'm grateful for it now. At the time, I didn't understand. She forced me to prioritize education.
And are you when you say she turned out a couple of deals for you, did you see those deals? Did you understand why she shut them down? Did she explain to you?
No, she just said she wanted me to finish school. That's it. She told me, like later on when I'd ask her, I think now the older that I got, it was a thing of you were going to lose focus. And we couldn't afford that at the time. Like you are literally the family's last hope. And not for us, but at least for yourself.
Does that come with pressure? Being told at such a young age that you, one of the, in inverted commas, last hope for the family or for yourself?
Just a little bit, but I saw the situation that we were within, right? I saw how we grew up, and I understood that I wanted better for myself. And one thing about my family, they always allowed me to be me. I was not an A student. Not once did my mother force me to study. But I just took it upon myself that I'm being given this opportunity and I have to study. And I think it also goes back to the type of school that you go to. You're going to school, you're seeing kids becoming prefect, you're seeing them pass, and you're like, okay, I also want to be like them. You're constantly striving for better. So when I would get home, I would, I remember studying, like I'd sit on a bucket and put it on the bed. The bed would be my desk and I'd sit on the bucket for hours. And I'd wake up in the middle of the night and study. And I was a hardworking kid. I wasn't an A student, but it got me through. It worked.
And it makes sense to a lot of kids that also come up from those type of environments, because you're not the only one. There's a whole lot inclusive to myself in regards to how we grew up. And you're speaking about the importance of education in your own sense, or making sense of it now, and your mother telling you the importance of education at that young age. How important has it been for you as to where you are now?
It has been massive. It has been massive. Even though I still feel like I should have studied a different degree. But just the mere fact that I was focused in school and I actually did finish a degree, I just see I just saw also the opportunities that came with it. It's hard like now when you go back to the township and it's like, okay, you're done with school or you're not done with school and you're trying to get someone a job and they're like, at least a matric, and people can't get those opportunities. And also because I come from a family where we didn't have a graduate at the time. We didn't have people who had been to varsity. We didn't have people who had just been successful in that sense, like a tangible representation. So I did believe that at least this will make me different. And it did.
Wow, we are in conversation. I don't say these are interviews. These are just conversations that our listeners listen to. It was 27 minutes before 2 o'clock. We are in conversation with Itumeleng Banda, a young lady that has done absolutely brilliant for herself. And in recent days or week, you've been on Sports at 10. You've also anchored one of the first inaugural tournament in African football that really has brought a lot of history to African football as well in regards to where it's going, the direction. But we'll get to that as well. Now, you go to LXFM. I think now take us through the journey of LXFM. Here you are, a very young kid, passionate about, at the time I wouldn't say sport, but I would say, radio. How did that opportunity come about? And I think you also know how big LXFM is, in regards to being a message medium in Alexandra and beyond.
Now I know what it is.
Yeah.
Then I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
How I got into radio, remember TV is my first love. So I didn't really care about radio. There was a friend of mine in high school, and his name was Justice. And he'd be like, dude, you've got such a dope voice, because I used to do public speaking. He'd be like, you've got such a dope voice. And I feel like even if you're talking nonsense, we always just want to listen to what you're saying, you know? And I'd be like, really? He's like, yeah, you should try radio. I was like, what? He's like, yeah. So I was like, okay. So then what we'd do is we'd take his phone and we'd record like little radio shows on the phone. And, you know, at the time, then I started listening to what DJ Warris at the time while I'd study and all of that. So then I was like, how do I get into Alex FM? Found out about them, went through, and I told them like, yo, I'm this kid. I'm interested in being part. Just anything that I can do, I am available. I'm writing my matric exams, but after that, I'm fully available. And then they ghosted me, and then they called me. I think I was writing my last paper or something around there. And they were like, okay, cool, come in. And I came in, and it was an audition. It was, yeah. Because the first time they met me, they made me read. And they were just like, you sound like an excited kid. You don't know how to read, you know? And then I went and I had to audition first. And I started off as a news anchor. And just from there, literally found my way. That's how voiceovers also started. One of the technical guys heard me, Samir Ramudike. He heard me and was like, I just want to do something with your voice, come through. And then I did the liners and I became the voice of the station. And I think the more you just see different things and different facets of radio, that's how I became interested. And that's how I moved and then got into presenting and being part of Bigger Than Life.
And you speak about Bigger Than Life as well. Of course, this might be a bit emotional, but I think, you know, if you are able to share the story, you speak about, you know, some of the topics that you covered there.
Yeah.
And this hits home for you.
Yeah.
In regards to your father.
Yeah. So, more especially my mother as opposed to my father, you know. So one of the reasons as to why my mother's employers left was because we had a house break-in. And the employee, then guns were involved and all of that. And my mom got hit on the head with a gun at that time. Obviously, experiencing that as a kid is traumatic. So growing up, it's a vision that I'll always have in my mind. Because I remember I was going to school and then they pushed us back inside, you know. So covering gun violence, I think part of Bigger Than Life was something that did hit home because of that experience. But also I just understood that we grew up in Alex and it was okay to wake up the next day and hear that Smangmang passed away because Bamu Tunti. Or we sitting in the house and you just hear gunshots and our parents are just like, yo, I wonder Mang, you know. It just became like second nature. It just became like listening to music coming from next door. And being given a platform and meeting other young people who had their personal stories in relation to this topic that is a problem within our township. This is our home, you know. That's what really drew me to Bigger Than Life. And yeah, I've always been a chatterbox. So obviously I think I was one of the most vocal out of some of the kids, together with a few others as well. That's how we became at the forefront of the whole conversation around driving social change with our social issues within our community.
Absolutely. And now when you join Bigger Than Life and you know, I think I'm not sure how the topics of gun violence and so forth, you know, comes through and considering that the experience that you had at home, was it easy? Was it difficult for you to relate that, you know, I can actually use my voice also considering my experience in regards to doing this on radio?
I think it was easy because, you know, we normally talk about therapy. And I think for Black society, therapy is something that we don't necessarily understand because we don't want to talk about the things that we've been through, right? But I was privileged enough after that whole incident, I was actually taken to professional therapy where you go there, you speak to a therapist, you're drawing pictures, you're showing her exactly what happened. And it kind of like helps with the healing process and the acceptance process as to what has happened. What I found with the kids that we were interacting with, most of them, it did trigger certain things, but that's because they were not given an opportunity to actually deal with it. It was like a thing of just don't bring it up, it's bad luck. You know, you're attracting that to happen. So I understood that my reality, yes, we've been through the same thing, but I've dealt with it differently. So I did want to help with getting them to be at a point where I was. I mean, one of the stories that we covered was there was a child whose name was Monica, and it was a documentary around her family and how the father was killed due to gun violence. And I remember they used me as the presenter to actually go and interact with the family and all. And I kid you not, that family was shattered. And they were okay all along until you bring up the conversation, but that's because they haven't dealt with it.
Yep.
So the mother's not able to fully sit down and try get the kids to also accept as to what's happened. So that drew me closer to the topic, and I just wanted more young people to speak their reality, to come through and understand that it's okay. Like, we've been through it. It makes you a better person.
Yep.
Yes, it sucks, but it's still part of your past. You can't get rid of that.
Well, absolutely. Very, very strong, very powerful as well. I think, you speak about one of the aspects. I think maybe just before we close, you'll tell us, the importance of therapy and what it does, to people, particularly with the bad experiences that you've had when you were growing up, rather. Now, sport.
Yeah.
How did you start broadcasting sports, or when, at which point? You speak about joining Massive Metro and not knowing anything about sport, but you are at Alex FM. Just take us through joining sports and broadcasting sports. Were you a reporter? What exactly were you? How did you start? And are you now, fully grown into the sports, particularly football?
So it started with that Motsidisi situation.
Yeah.
And I started just then. I had to take the job because she forced me.
Yeah.
Oh, bless her soul. Love that woman so much. And I don't think she knew what she was doing. I always say to her, I don't know if angels exist, but through you, I am certain that they do. Right? I started reading sports updates. Football updates because that's all they focused on at Massive Metro throughout the day on the various shows, and that's what I did. At first, I didn't really care about it, and then I was given a show which was Feminine First Touch. And okay, now this is my show. I started off as a producer, so I started producing, and I just wanted my presenters to be well informed. I wanted them to have a good show.
Yep.
So that made me research more, but then there's certain things that I'd research and I'd be like, you're not doing it the way in which I want it to be. So obviously then I got the show myself. And that's literally where the love started. Did the show with Pasha, then they moved me over to Massive 11, where I got to work with Christoph Bongo. And that's literally where the love of African football then started. I didn't think it was serious. He just was really hard on me. It's like, this could be a thing. I was just like, dude, please. Like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah.
But that's how it is. If you ask me as to where I was then and where I am now, it was the perfect detour in my career. I literally I'm one of the people who can say football changed my life. Literally.
And when you start, covering football and African football, and then moved from show to show, does now football grow on you? Do you now start to understand how important it is for you to present what you know, what you understand? Because you can easily see that this person is just presenting for the sake of it. Or is passion here. Did that now the passion start to grow on you?
100%. I think also because Mutsidisi Mohan is the woman who put me in. I then find out who Mutsidisi is. Like, whoa, goat, hi. I want to be, not that, and the thing is, I wanted to be like her, but she wanted me to be like me. But I don't know what she saw in me, because remember, she found me clueless. Right? So I did, for the longest time, I wish, and I hope one day she tells me what she saw in me that I feel like I didn't even know.
Yep.
But it does then eventually grow onto you, because then you understand that presenting comes second nature to me. But presenting is so much easier when I'm talking about something that I know. And I enjoy it even more. So then the research comes. Then you hang out with the guys. You have conversations with the guys. And it just becomes a thing of, okay, you get exposed to as to what you can really do. You get exposed to the woman who is sitting there at Supersport. You get exposed to the public broadcaster. And I think when Asha Kumangisha then did Sky Sport for the AFCON last year, that for me was like, okay, we can actually go somewhere with this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's grown onto me. I'm still learning. I still believe that I'm still junior phase. But one thing that I love about me is I will sit and I'll ask the questions, and I don't mind being clueless, because if a baby's not born walking. But I have to put in the time. I do understand, but I will not know what I'm really investing in if I don't ask the people who have walked the path before.
You speak about something that's quite important. I myself, I get a lot of messages on social media in regards to how did you get to Supersport and all of that. Tell me about the importance of body work, you starting somewhere. We've got, I from time to time have an opportunity to speak to Coach Steve Kampayela, to Coach Pito Msimani, Coach Rolando Mokoena. They speak about the importance of starting somewhere.
100%.
Why is it so important?
you build the foundation. My mother would always say to me when I'd go to Alex FM, I'd be like, Ma, these people are making me do so many things. They're not paying me. She's like, they're giving you a skill that they can never take away from you. And that can't compare to any money that anyone can give you. And every single opportunity I walk into, that's the mindset that I have. My broadcasting foundation started there, you know. I don't think I'd be the broadcaster that I am if it wasn't for that place. So you have to start somewhere. It sucks, I know. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of... I think the start is the hardest part. Because being consistent and not being rewarded, or not thinking that you'll be seen, or not even knowing if this will amount to anything, and you need to constantly push yourself, is the hardest thing. But you have to start somewhere, especially if you see yourself becoming one of the greatest, or if you have a certain level for yourself. You have to have a solid foundation. No building is just erected in a day. It takes years. You saw how Qatar came up. Well, there's money there, so it goes quicker. But but you saw the preparations for 2010.
Absolutely.
It took a time.
Absolutely. And we were actually supposed to host the 2006 World Cup, but, you know, they said, you know, we're not ready.
Exactly.
So they say. And let's now move away from Massiv Metro. Power FM. How did you get there? I understand, you know, you were doing sports bulletin there, or maybe some of the shows. Take us through that you know, that journey at Power FM, how you joined, who called you, and how did that go about?
So I was just like the kids who are DMing you. I would meet Maskep at press briefings. Thinking, and I don't know, but I would just be like, if you guys need someone, please, like, even if I can just read, you know? And Maskep would be like, I'm not the boss there, you know? And you know, when someone says that to you, you think, dude, like, and it's not even that. But eventually there was an opening, and he texted me, he was like, yo, dude, are you keen? I was like, yeah, what do you mean? Yes. And I went in, and he taught me the system and all. And he was like, okay, cool, sharp. And then I never heard from him again. And then when the time was right, eventually, because I had to record a demo and all of that, then I got called in, did sports bulletins there. I still do freelance for them. Possibly in December, you'll hear me on a show, which is a different side that I think people don't necessarily know. Yeah. Exciting. Yes, very.
What exactly? You know, we also break a couple of news here, so maybe you can just let us in as to what we can expect. December.
I can't fully confirm where and why, but you could hear a different side to me on Power FM. Yeah. Could be current affairs, could be lifestyle, could be sport, could be business. You never know.
Yeah, trying very hard to close off what we're trying to know, but that's all right. One of the biggest football tournaments starts, AFL, African Football League. You know, I get a message from one of the media officers, Tabang Mazbuko. He says, you know, I need you to come and cover this tournament. Just, you know, do press conferences and so forth. I go there, Loftus Versfeld. There's a lot of, you know, designs in regards to, you know, trying to put out the message of the AFL. Here you are. You anchor the semi-finals of the African Football League for the SABC. Take me through how you knew about it, who told you, how many days before that, who was the first person that you told that I'm actually going to be doing this for myself?
So I think it was 2020, if I'm not mistaken, or just after that, Christoph Bongo, remember I did the show with him at Massiv Metro. He calls me. He's like, listen, there's this thing. I have this dream having an African football network, and I want you to be one of the faces. I'm like, okay, cool, sharp. I'm just like, that's another bag. That's presenting. Let's go. I shoot the demo, the pilot, and then he sells it for years, and it doesn't get sold. And I'm just like, whatever, this guy... It is one of those. I've shot so many pilots in my life. I'm like, it's probably one of those again. And then years later, I think it was I can't remember exactly the years. Years later, he comes back. He says, guess what? The show has been approved by SABC. I'm like, okay, cool. Yes, that's exciting news. Remember, I shot it, so I'm like, I'm the presenter. And I get rejected as the presenter by Channel. Apparently, I look too young to be talking about African football. Because we do know the people who consume African football are men. They're older. It's not necessarily the young generation. I get rejected in that regard. They say I'm not ready. I'm like, okay, cool. That for me, I'm just like, is this guy ready? Was it him or was it the channel?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I take it really personally. But then they put me on voiceovers. So I do voiceovers for the show. Show goes on for years, I think 1-2 years. The presenters constantly just switch and change. I'm not even being given an opportunity to go in. While I'm doing my recordings for the voiceovers, I get to meet your Jeff Katalas. I get to meet, obviously, Christoph Bongo and other people who...
Top African journalists.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who then, while I'm doing my recordings, literally will sit with me. I kid you not. I almost hated voiceovers at that point. They will say it this way. This is how it's said in French. Right?
And there's a lot of French in African countries,
There is a lot. And you're the voiceover, so you
Yeah.
have to say it correctly. And while they're teaching you that, you want to leave, right? They're explaining to you what that word means or where that team is from. You know, little did I know that was the beginning of it all. And then the World Cup comes along, Qatar World Cup, and they have a show called Desert Battle. So I've already left Chris and them. We've had our disputes and all of that, but good terms. We just amicably depart ways. And then the World Cup comes along. He's like, dude, I'm doing a show, still on SABC One, still the same show, Foot Afrique. We're just going to call it Desert Battle, and we're covering the African teams or the African players that are at the World Cup. And I'd like you to actually be my host. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, I think you're ready. Mind you, all these years, I was so over it.
Yeah.
He calls me back. I do Desert Battle. It gets loved. Renew for another season, and then we move to proper Foot Afrique, normal programming. I keep on doing Foot Afrique. As we do Foot Afrique, Christoph says to me, you are going to be taken by the SABC. I know we're already on SABC, but they're going to want you to be their presenter. And it's going to hurt, but I'm just warning you that it will happen. He says this for years, months, right? Time goes by. Me, I just invest into doing my work. I get to work with Brian Mofokeng. I love my job, and I'm just doing my job. And then after that, on a random day, I get a call. Day before AFL starts, I get a call. So it started on the 20th. On the 19th of October, I get a call from the SABC. The SABC was exposed to me first, obviously on Foot Afrique, but then they got to see me in person when the Banyana Trophy came to South Africa. I was the MC for that event, the gala dinner. And the SABC was covering that. And after that, then some people came to me, or some guy, or Rapeleng, at the time he's just some guy.
Yeah.
He asked for my number.
Commentator at Super Sports soccer schools.
Right? No, Rapeleng.
Or not Mokhaki?
No, not Mokhaki.
Okay,
Rapeleng from SABC.
Okay.
So, no, big guy from SABC.
Yeah.
So he comes, takes my number, he's like, cool, you'll hear from me. I'm like, oh, whatever. Cool. So I'm thinking maybe next week, nothing comes. But then anyway, fast forward, that happens in June. Then we come day before AFL. Get a call, Orapeleng. Hi, Itumeleng. I'm driving to a fitting at the time. Hi, Itumeleng. How are you? I'm good. Can you come through to the SABC today? What? I'm busy. But really, can you come through? I'm like, okay, cool. I've got a dress fitting. After that, then I can come. And then he's like, okay, cool, sharp. I go to my fitting. After that, I'm like, let me just go to this meeting. Unprepared, by the way. I remember so I was wearing a brown polka dot dress.
Yeah.
I do my Foot Afrique shoot. I do my fitting. And then I am going to the SABC. Get there. There are 4 gentlemen. I'm walking in and I'm just like, I'm not even dressed for this. But anyway, here we are in flops. Get there. They're like, sorry, we called you so late. This is who we are. Who are you? I tell them. They're like, okay, cool. So what do you know about African football? So I don't even know where this conversation is going. Remember, I wasn't briefed or anything. I'm like, what exactly do you want to know, though?
Yeah.
And then one says, okay, what's your take on the African Football League? Now we're having a conversation about it, right? And then we just talk about the African football. It becomes a whole conversation. I even forgot we're in a meeting. And they're like, okay, cool. We are going to interview other people. That was an interview, by the way. If we like you, we'll call you back. If not, that means we got one with someone else. I'm like, okay, cool. Sharp. So I don't know how I feel at that point, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm bombarded by these men. Why is the first thing you ask me, what do I know? Why don't you brief me? So I leave. I then go to UJ because I had a gig the next day. I had to go for my briefing. I do my meeting. Directly after that, as I get to the car, I'm about to call my mom to be like, Mama, my meeting go UJ. I get a call from Joy, the producer. Hi, Itumeleng, it's Joy. Met you earlier on at the SABC. Thank you so much for coming. Just wanted to let you know that congratulations. We really like you. We want you as part of the SABC. Oh, okay. Now I'm quiet. He says, you sound really uninterested as opposed to how you were in the meeting.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, it's kind of off guard. He's like, okay, cool. We're giving you a show. You start tomorrow. I'm like, what? He's like, yes, we start tomorrow. Live TV. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, cool. Let's do it. you know?
Yeah.
And I go home, then I call my mom first and foremost, because that was just the week of good news. Like literally I had the most insane week that week.
Yep.
And call my mom. I can't even cry at that point. I'm numb and my mom is praying. She was like, baby girl, just get home, right? Before I even get home, I can't even get home. I'm getting lost off Ramsar, Dan Lata, you know. I call Christoph Bong. I'm like, you won't believe I got that call. He's like, what call? The SABC. So he screams and then he composes himself.
Yeah.
He's like, where are you now? I'm like, I'm driving. He's like, okay, just get home. Right? And then cool. I put the phone down, get home and we have the conversation. And that's how we start. Next day, get there and we do the AFL preview show. Daveza's there. And who else was it was Buckley.
Yeah,
Dalron
Buckley.
Yes. I don't know who Dalron is at that time. Get there, do my job. Daveza's very intimidating.
Yeah.
And I do my first link. And I'm like, I love this. But I'm scared, but I love it.
Daveza Velile.
Yes.
Goodness, what a journalist as well. Eh?
Yeah.
When there's a lot of butterflies, I now this is personal experience in regards to broadcasting for SuperSport. When you do the AFL, it's live. It's the semi-finals. What's going through your mind at that moment in time? You're a couple of seconds from doing this massive thing in your life, in your career. What's going through your mind?
What's going through my mind, obviously, because when I found out, part of the people that I told, Matsiris was also part of them. One thing that she's always said to me was that you need to start understanding that things are really happening. It's no longer an audition. And I've carried that with me into all my big moments. I can prepare as much as I can, right? And you know this as a broadcaster. Yeah. Sometimes you can be so well prepared, but if you allow the nerves to get to you, you won't get the outcome that you wanted and that you know that you can produce. I know this is a massive opportunity. It's little old me, but then I'm reminded of the little prayers that I've always had. I'm reminded of the shows that I got rejected on, all those voiceovers with Papa Jeff. All of that was not for nothing. All of that accumulated to this yet moment. So we do the semi-final, and also I think just after doing my first show, it was a thing of everyone is just like, who's this girl? Where's she from? You know? And I think also as a broadcaster, it's fine when you get it from outside, but when you get it from the people
you work with,
do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
It hits different.
Absolutely.
You get people who've been cameramen there for years, and they're like, I've never seen anything like you. You know, and that just grounds you, and it's like, okay, whatever I've been doing has been working. I need to keep on doing that, probably even better. So you just block out the noise and you trust what you know.
Let's talk about that. There's a lot of similarities here, and I also want you to take me through your experience. The importance of remaining grounded, because for some people it goes to the head.
Yes.
I'm doing SuperSport soccer schools. In your case, I'm doing SABC. I'm doing radio. I'm doing this and that. Who keeps you grounded? How do you keep yourself grounded? How important is it to keep yourself grounded?
My best friend. My friends, actually.
Yeah.
My friends, my family. I do understand that there's a gift that I've been entrusted with.
Yeah.
And I need to take care of it. I need to take care of it. Like I said, presenting comes naturally, but in order for this craft to be experienced the way in which it's been put within me, I need to invest in it.
There's tears.
Yes.
There's emotions when I ask you that. Tell us why. Why are you emotional about remaining grounded and the importance of that? And you speak about your friends as well. This is a live show, and this is radio's about emotions such as television. Why the tears, Itumeleng?
I have friends who pray for me, pray over me. They're my backbone, and I think it's so, especially in the space, we work in such a beautiful but horrible space. You get what I mean?
You should know.
Yeah. And we work in such a beautiful yet horrible space, and when you go through everything with the people that you've always had, it kind of hits different. You understand that a victory for you was not just for you alone. We did it.
Yeah.
That we did that. So my friends, my family, my mother, my mother, Yeah, I owe everything to that woman. But being grounded for me is everything. It reminds me that there's so much more that can still happen. I'm reminded of how we got here. How we got here is not just me. It's so many sacrifices from family. I remember I'd sleep at people's houses, be like, please just drop me off in TUT. I've got to shoot in the morning. And without a hesitation, be like, okay, cool, got you. You know, I have to be picked up at night. I don't have Uber money to go to places. So yeah, that's why it means a lot to me. I don't, and I hope I never will, because I know where I come from. And that's molded the person that I am.
Yeah.
But I think also just understanding that I truly believe that I've been called for things that are beyond me. And this is actually the first conversation I'm having after doing the AFL semi-final, AFL preview show. Then we do the first leg final. Maybe it's just sinking in now.
Yeah.
I think it's
that it was something big.
It was huge.
Yeah.
It was huge. I have family in Northwest. That's where we're from. And it is insane. And you get messages from my niece's friends at school, and they're like, do you understand what your auntie's doing? Like, that is your auntie, bro, you know? But I just look at, like, my family as to where we all started. Yeah. And you look at you feel like a peasant who's been picked up by someone, and they're like, you're gonna sit at that desk with kings. Yeah. And you're gonna eat. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what it felt like, and that's what it feels like. So I think this is literally, and that's why maybe this is the last time we do this. That's why I don't like interviews. I don't think it's sunk in. I remember my friend saying to me, "Do you understand? You just did the final, you know?" And I was just like, "Whoa, okay, yeah." For me, it was just another shoot, because you are as good as your last shoot. But now that you say it, it's like, damn, that's the first time that competition happened. Two of the biggest teams were going head to head for that, $400 million. Yeah. And I wasn't, little old me wasn't trusted to anchor that. It was insane. It was insane.
It was. It's 2:00. This is where we actually have to close the show. But there's a lot of emotion as well. And I understand your emotions as well in regards to who we are, where we come from. Yeah. You know, some people did not understand where you'd get, where you'd be. But Itumeleng, South Africa is proud of you. Your family is proud of you. Your friends are proud of you.
What is next for me is bigger than me. But I've already been qualified for it. I truly believe. And when it does arrive, it will arrive at its own time. Most of the things people say, we don't see you coming. Girl, I don't see myself coming either. You know? What is next for me, I truly, truly hope that, obviously, we have to change the game, man. We have to change the game. I feel like the women who have come before us have really set the standard so high. I really just, I want people, when they experience me, to experience something they've never experienced before. Yeah. Because, like I said, I don't know, it's God-given, yeah? Yep. So you must just take the wheel. My dear, it's over to you. Yeah. But to the young broadcasters, never despite the beginning, the small beginnings, that's in fact the most important part of the journey. That's what molds you, and I think it's so important in that era to allow yourself to make the mistakes. I was thinking the other day, I was like, I literally am now on the public broadcaster. I've opened up my life to making my mistakes in front of South Africa. And what's more scary than having them there as opposed to doing them behind closed doors? There's certain things that I wish I had mastered prior to getting there. And that's within the small beginnings, right? So don't despise those small beginnings. Be truthful to who you are. If it's something that you don't want to do, don't do it. But find what is truly for you. Protect your gift, whatever it is, whether it be you being behind the lens, whether it be you being behind the mic, if you're good at making audio clips, whatever it is, take care of it. Take care of it. And never take for granted the opportunities that you have, because those are opportunities that the next person is really praying if they could at least just be at the door of that opportunity. Yep. So yeah, and be kind to yourself. Being a broadcaster is about being kind to yourself.
Absolutely.
You have to forgive yourself. Even if you had a bad show, that's okay. But you have to be your biggest fan first. Because if you don't believe it, how are we going to believe you?
Wow. It's 3 minutes after 2 o'clock. This is where we close the show. Itumeleng Banda. An absolute pleasure to have you here. It feels a bit short, but I'd say it's the first part of the second. I think we'll have you here in the next couple of weeks as well, just to also dissect other parts of your life, of your career as well, particularly in broadcasting. I mean, what an absolute peach of a pleasure it was to have you here. Go conquer the world. Go conquer South Africa.
I'm a fan of your work, by the way, just so that people don't know. I'm a very big fan of your work.
This is your show. I think this is where we cut everything. This is about you. Thank you so much. But thank you from myself, the radio station. It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for honoring us. It means so much. And continue being the best that you are. And see you at the top.
Oh, definitely. I'm going to see you there. And you're not going to make me cry when we get there. But yeah, thank you so much. This has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to understand what just happened in my life. I think as a broadcaster, you live off adrenaline, right?
True.
And you just want the next thing. You want the next thing. But sometimes you just need to take a moment, breathe, and bask in that moment. So thank you for making me, I say it's Genesis, but for actually acknowledging and allowing it to be the beginning.
That's how we grow. That's how we grow. That's how we also, appreciating others, it comes back to you tenfold. And this is what it's all about, As long as you continue doing your brilliant work, we're here to give you that platform, to share your story, to share your journey, and just tell South Africa how good you are and how great you are and where you are going.
Oh, they know.
Well, there it is. It is 5 minutes after 2 o'clock. The big chat with myself, SK Pasha. We're done. We're back again next week. Well, actually, we opened a new store in Zambia. I don't know, Ronnie, if you want to say a couple of words, maybe, in regards to our new store. We've got 40 stores as well in South Africa. We've got one in Namibia as well. Hey?
Yes, Namibia.
Yeah?
Zambia.
Yeah?
And opening one, just opened one in, at the airport.
At the airport. That's bold, man.
Or Tamil.
International.
Yes.
Well, that's that. We're back again next week, Wednesday. An absolute pleasure. What a pleasure it was, to bring you this show. Itumeleng Banda, thank you so much once again. Oh, goodness, there she goes. But thank you so much. We're back again next week. Continue listening to Pocket Radio. There's absolute great shows here. Goodbye.